What's going on, Baton Rouge home shoppers? It's your best friend in real estate, Scott B. And today we're going to be talking about buying your first home. Yeah, we're going to be talking about making the biggest investment of your life as of today in the great city and surrounding area of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I know it's going to be a little scary, and I'm here to guide you through the process and help make it happen for you. In this video that you're watching right now, we're going to have this brief monologue, the introduction, if you will, where I kind of just go over the home buying process for a first-time home buyer and what to expect. I'm also then going to go over our home shoppers, our home buyers guide. It's an ebook that we made specifically for 2023. And then we're going to go over all the other important documents that are needed when submitting an offer to purchase real estate in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. All right. If you want access to those PDFs, that ebook, that home buyer's guide is very important. I send that to all my home buyers. It just gives you something to look at. It's a PDF. It'll be in your email. You can store it away. And if you want those sample documents of what an offer looks like, what I guess some of the other information that goes into submitting an offer, please feel free to leave your email address below, or because leaving your email on the internet is a little risky nowadays, you can just shoot me a text with your email address and say, hey Scott, my name is so-and-so. Would you please, with sugar on top, send me a PDF of the home buyer's guide for 2023, and also send me the sample documents that I need to educate myself on in preparation of submitting an offer for a home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Send me that information with your email address, and I'll gladly send it within the next 12 to 24 hours. As soon as I see it, really, saved on my phone. I can make that happen. So, getting to the monologue first off, whenever you're purchasing a home, first-time home buyers, welcome to the real estate world. Welcome to the real estate world, okay? So you got to do your research on the different neighborhoods in the city and the surrounding city. So do you want to live in the heart of downtown? You that type of partier, huh? Baton Rouge is known as a party city, by the way. If you go downtown, you're close to restaurants, you're close to shopping, you're close to nightlife. Hello? Okay. Or are you someone that wants to be in the quiet suburbs? Denham Springs, the Zachary's, the Prairieville. Still have restaurants, just not as much active of a nightlife, if you will. Are you that kind of person? Either way, Baton Rouge has got you covered. Next, number two, one thing that I want to prep you on, number two, is you need to find yourself a great real estate agent, someone who knows their stuff, someone who knows the area, who grew up in the area, and is now back into the area selling real estate. You need someone who can show you the best properties in your budget and give you an inside scoop on the local housing market. Don't forget about financing. That's number three. Number three in our bullet points. Don't forget about financing, y'all. Shop around for the best mortgage rates. Now, your mortgage lender is very important because these are the people that are going to be setting your terms for the next 30 years. This is a commitment here. You're going to be paying these fees for 30 years, so you want to shop around. Think of it like driving around for gas. If everybody's selling the same product, look for the cheapest gas around. Look for the cheapest rates. Interview at least 2 to 3 mortgage lenders. I have a long laundry list of mortgage lenders who I've worked with. Nobody that's on the payroll, but these are people who I know have great customer service and competitive fees and rates that are great for a home shopping. Some of them also have first-time home buyer products where there's different packages. It all depends on what you actually qualify for. So if you need that information, don't go looking online for people, by the way. Your lender needs to be local to this market. It can't be somebody on www.wheredoifindmoneytobuyhouse.com. You need somebody who knows our market, someone who is in our market, someone who is versed and does the high repetition, high mortgages in Baton Rouge or the surrounding area. All right. So, and when it comes time for you to make an offer, you need to be ready to negotiate and also be a little patient. This city's housing market can be very competitive, so you got to be smart. You got to work with your real estate agent. You got to make a strong offer that stands out, and more importantly, an offer that gets accepted. Buying your first home is a very big step, but don't let it intimidate you. With a little bit of know-how and some hustle, you'll be living your new crib, your new dream home in no time. Good luck to you out there. And also, I wanted to say this before we go over the ebook, before we go over the documents. We get calls and emails every single day from people just like you, okay? Looking for help moving into the area, whether it's their first time purchasing a home, whether they're relocating, or even if they want to sell their property. And we absolutely love it. Keep them coming. That's what I'm saying. That's what this part is. Whether you're 90 days away or whether you're 9 days away, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email so we can help make your move in or your move out as smooth as possible. Now, Scott, let's get to the ebook.
Here is our home buyer's guide. This is specifically made for 2023. And as of right now, it's gotten proven results for some of our home shoppers. All right, so tips for buying in today's housing market. So it's clear the 2022-2023 housing market has been defined by higher mortgage rates. If you're thinking about buying a home, here are a few things you can do to help prepare for your home purchase. So always get pre-approved, and I'm just going to kind of go over these. You would take a screenshot of this if you want to read them individually, but we'll quickly go over them just because I know your time is valuable. But always get pre-approved. No matter what, you always want to know how much money you are approved to borrow before you even start looking at properties. The moment you decide that you want to go see a property is the moment that you need to get with somebody who does real estate specific loans. Now, we know a lot of lenders in the area. We can get you in touch with the right people, but you have to know what you're pre-approved to borrow. You have to be educated on what your monthly mortgage is going to be, and then you have to be educated on what costs that's going to cost you to borrow money. People just don't give money for free. These lenders are looking for a down payment. They have loan origination fees. They have closing costs. So we want to get you in touch with the lender as soon as possible, just so we can know your situation. There's no wrong answers for this. We need to know that we're shopping in the right price point. Number two is if we're unable to find specific properties for you that are to your liking, I would always say have an expanded search area and not be so committed to certain things that aren't as typical as bedroom count, bathroom count. If you want a pool, that's great, but there might not be a pool in the area that you're looking for, but you can always add a pool later on. A fence is great, but you can always add a fence later on. Color of a paint is always great, or you might not like the way that the previous seller painted it, but you can always paint it later on. There's other things that we can do to broaden the actual search, and we don't want to be too specific, but we will look at every single property being as specific as we possibly can. But if the results come back at 0 houses for sale with everything you want, we're gonna have to take a few things off just so we can start getting some properties to go look at, or we just wait until the perfect one pops up. And I always say, from years in this business, there's no perfect home. There's only homes that have been eliminated and then the one that you buy, okay? Even people that build their home from scratch, they design every aspect of it. After it's all said and done, they always forget something. They always want to add something after it's said and done. So keep that in mind. You want to explore all your financing options. So a variety of mortgages are available with a variety of down payment and eligibility requirements. So again, we want to get you with the lender to make sure we know what you're qualifying for: FHA, conventional, VA, zero down. So there's probably foreign talk to you, but whenever we get you in front of a lender, they'll be able to break that down. So you have options in this world depending on what type of buyer you have. And then, if sometimes cash is kind of an issue for home buyers, whether it's a first time or, just somebody trying to get their next deal across. But there's grants available, there's gift funds available, there's down payment assistance programs. A lot of times they're a little bit more hassle, and then it costs you a lot more after it's all said and done. But there are those options. Down payment assistance is great, but it does add, but there are those options. Gift funds are money given to you from a family member, and grants are non-refundable, or money you don't have to pay back. But go to downpaymentresource.com, check them out. And as a realtor, these are the things that I'm going to be helping you to do. So this is the home buying process just made easy. You know, we've broken it down. There's about 150 steps in the home buying process, and it can get confusing for people that are even have done multiple deals their life throughout their lives. So they've moved several times, they've purchased many homes, but it's still confusing. And now think of your first time home buyer, which most of you are. Working with an experienced realtor is an absolute cheat code whenever you're buying a home. I know the business and the processes in and out. I can get you in touch with the right people. We have a laundry list of lenders that we can refer you to. We have a laundry list of inspectors that we can refer you to. And we work with some of the top closing attorneys in the state. Now, throughout this process, I will be holding your hand throughout the home buying process. And again, that's introducing you to lenders to make sure you're pre-approved. And I can't stress this enough. Getting pre-approved is a must do. Knowing what you can afford is the very first step for you. We can't just drive around people that aren't sure if they can even borrow money yet. And so that's a requirement in order for us to move forward. So we do not move along in the home buying process until we know what you can actually borrow. And just because you're speaking with the lender and they tell you what you can borrow doesn't mean you're obligated to pay anything right then at all. It doesn't affect your credit. It's a soft credit pool. And then you can switch lenders after it's all said and done if you don't like what that lender's telling you. We just need to make sure someone that hands out money to people will hand you money. That's it. We just need to make sure that you can get pre-approved. Also, I help you with finding a home. Now I'll have a full out commitment form that I give to you whenever we meet in person. I go over those line by line, and we have you sign it just so you know, and you're holding me accountable for the things. But finding you a home, there's multiple avenues of where we find your home. I'm going to be sending you properties through the MLS, which is where all the properties come from. Every real estate agent inputs their listings, their properties for sale into the MLS, and then it trickles down into the internet. So you have sites like Zillow, which Zillow's, I don't like saying this, but I mean, it's kind of like the Craigslist of the housing market. There can be incorrect information. Anybody can say that they're selling a house and they don't even have to own the house. There's not a lot of security on those types of platforms. So even if I'm sending you properties on the MLS, I'm sending you weekly updates, daily updates, however we discuss you want to be getting those properties. You might be looking on Zillow because you've heard that Zillow is the best. That's perfectly fine. Just send me the address. I'll vet the property and I'll schedule the showings. I'll run the comparables and we can set up an offer through that. So send me all the properties you find on the Zillows, the Realtor.coms, the Trulia, whatever the other ones are. But just know that they get their information from the MLS, which is where I will be sending you properties from. So if you just stick with the MLS, that's all the best. Also, I want to point out that homeowners do try and sometimes succeed at selling their homes without using a real estate agent. So they have for sale by owners. You might be going to a garage sale and you might see a for sale by owner sign out there. Allow me the opportunity to talk to them, even though that they're not having a real estate agent sell their property. Just because they've chosen not to be represented and protected doesn't mean you should choose to not be represented and protected. There will be no fee for my services. I will get in touch with that for sale by owner. You send me their information, you send me their address, and I'll talk to them. 9 out of 10 times, they're happy for me to communicate with them and get this deal done because they need help with the paperwork. They need help with the closing attorney. They need help. They need their own help because they don't have the representation. So let me get my foot in the door. You send me the information and we can still get you a deal done. However, the most deals that you'll find, the most houses that you'll find will be on the MLS. All right. And you probably already downloaded the My Home Search website app. That is straight from the MLS right there, and it's only you and I communicating on that app. If you go anywhere else, they sell your information to other real estate agents for a fee. So you'll have multiple people calling you all at once, multiple times a day. Moving on, writing and negotiating counter offers, contracts, and counter offers. So that's my favorite part of the deal is actually negotiating the sales price. I like to make a joke. It's my cheesy joke in the middle of the of us working together is I like to play sales price limbo. How low will the seller go? So just because they have a property listed at 200, 300, 400, 600, 700, $1 million doesn't necessarily mean that that is the lowest offer that they will accept. Okay. So let's see what they'll do. A lot now, I would say most of the times that they're serious about their property, they're serious about their price, and there's other areas of the deal where we can negotiate that price down. I also like trying to get my buyer's closing costs. Closing costs will go over a little bit more, and your lender will tell you what your closing costs are. But in certain markets, maybe not a seller's market, maybe not in today's market, but I mean, I have been getting my buyer's closing costs recently, a little bit more recently. But sellers sometimes agree to pay your closing costs with a good offer. You can't lowball them on the sales price and expect them to pay your closing costs. They don't do that, but they will pay closing costs. Now we can go over why that benefits you whenever we meet in person, but closing costs is something to consider. Also, I like to throw in home warranties. Get the seller to buy you a home warranty so your house is protected after you own it, after they sell it. A little insurance policy on it. You'll also have insurance, but this like protects the appliances, the plumbing, other items like that, HVAC, roof. All right. So after the inspection, you'll also, once you go under contract, there is an inspection period where we inspect the property. That's another area where you allow me to negotiate for you. We can either get that price down, get some closing costs, or get that home warranty taken care of. That's the second area of negotiation where we have the best ability to get these sellers to agree to some terms. All right. So, and you will need to put up a deposit. It will help protect, and I actually help protect that actual deposit. So, your deposit is typically called your earnest money. When we submit an offer, you also submit a check. Typically, it's about 1% of the offer price, but ask me if there's anything we can do about that. Sometimes some sellers are different. So it can be lower, sometimes they want more. But you submit a chunk of change that goes towards your overall offer at the closing table. So let's say if you put $1,000 down, you're not just losing that $1,000. You have the potential to lose it if you back out at certain points of the deal. But that $1,000 gets put into the how much you owe at the end of the day pile. Like it doesn't just get wasted unless you back out. So if it's a $500,000 house, it's basically a $499,000 house now because you've already paid $1,000. If it's $100,000 house, you only owe $99,000 now because you've already paid that $1,000. Now, as far as scheduling and negotiating the inspection and appraisal, so just keep in mind we again we have a laundry list of inspectors as mentioned above, but keep in mind that an inspection is going to run you about $300 to $400 to get an inspection. That is a non-refundable cost paid by the buyer, so make sure you have about $400 for the inspection. Another non-refundable expense of a home buyer is the appraisal, which is about $500. Now the inspection is basically taking the house to the doctor and making sure that there's no safety issues or it's not sick, making sure there's no termites. Again, have about $400 for that. The appraisal is making sure that you're not overpaying for the property. So if you're ever worried about the market this, the market that, your auntie, your uncle, your coworkers, your mom, your dad, your friends are telling you it's a bad market, don't overpay, don't do this, the appraisal makes sure that you don't overpay because the bank's giving you all the money basically. Most of the time people are borrowing no less than 93% of the deal. So the bank is making sure that they're not putting up a majority of the money for a house that you're overpaying for. So you don't ever have to worry about your house being sick, because the inspector will let you know, and that is a very big part of the home buying process. And then the appraisal is make the bank making sure you're not overpaying. Okay. Here is the roadmap of buying a home. So this is it broken down, the 150 steps broken down into 13 to make it easy to understand. I'd take a little snap of this, but you'll probably have this emailed to you if you're a client. If you're not a client, simply just either DM me, comment your email address, and I will send it to you. I'm assuming this is going to be on YouTube later on. So if this was directly sent to you, there you go. So number one, you're going to meet with your real estate professional. Now, we're already starting here for the most part, or we've already gotten the contact, but we're going to discuss the type of home and the ideal features that you're looking for. Your must-haves. You can't live without. Yeah, I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda bottoms. All right. This is that fence. This is that basement. This is that fourth bedroom. This is that large backyard. This is, I need an open kitchen, but I don't have to have it. It's not a deal breaker. All right, whenever we're making this list, of course, we're going to write down every single thing that you want, but you have to keep into consideration and be realistic about your price point. Some things are only found in $1 million properties. If you have a $200,000 price point, 4 bedrooms aren't typically going to be the amount of bedrooms that you'll see in the houses, unless they're farther away from the cities. All right, we'll go over that. So, all right, so the buyer's advantage. So as the buyer, your agent's commission is often paid by the seller. And just to break that down, you borrow the money from the lender, then you take the money, purchase the house. From the purchase of the house, the seller gets their proceeds of like what they make from selling the house after their mortgage gets paid off or any other debts that they had on the home. They pay their real estate agent, and then their real estate agent so graciously splits their commission with me. So the other real estate agent is basically paying me to bring you to them. So sometimes it's often confused that, if I don't have a real estate agent, maybe I can work that into the offer that I send. Well, that's the commission isn't paid by the seller. The commission is paid from the actual seller's agent. So the seller's agent isn't going to lower their fee just so you can get a better deal. So I would just keep that into consideration. So you get to work with me for free for the most part. All right. You always want to get pre-approved. The one thing I dislike about this roadmap graphic is that we talk about what you're looking for. We talk about this commission whenever first you need to get pre-approved. There's no point really in discussing the type of home and the features that you're looking for if you don't qualify to borrow money. Like there has to be credit scores, pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, and the debt to income. How much debt do you have versus how much income? If you have $30,000 in debt and you only make $20,000 a year, that might present a problem. You understand? We need to know that before we know this, because this will save you a lot of time. But if you ever want to just get a cup of coffee just to discuss this, that's perfectly fine with me. So we want to make sure you're pre-approved, just because you educating yourself on your financial situation is the very best thing for you to do. You need to know how much money you have in the bank. If you're a cash buyer, you got it. So many people are very confident and believe that, they make this amount of money per year, that buying a home is not going to be a problem for them. And then they find out that they have credit card debt out of the wazoo, plus a car payment. We just need to find out. That's it. There's nothing wrong with knowing where you are. And I just know that this is a big fear of people, is just kind of getting realistic about their debt to income. And it's not a big deal. It's always fun to educate yourself on yourself. Now, searching for the homes. Now we're getting to the good stuff. I'm excited. We talked about the money. We talked about what you need. We talked about you not having to pay me directly. You're getting the services for free. You're getting this basically this money, especially even with people talking about interest rates right now being high, considering credit card interest rates, considering rent is 100% interest rates, 5% lower, not bad at all. You're basically getting free money. And I wish people could see that. You're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars for very cheap. Whenever rent is 100%, a mortgage, a house is 5%. But we talked about that. We talked about everything else. Now it's time to start searching for homes. The fun part, as it says here. I'll start to schedule showings. We'll run comparables. We'll go look at neighborhoods. Now, one thing that I always suggest about the home search process is you type in the address, go to googleearth.com, type in the addresses of all the properties that you want to see, and you make sure they're in good areas. Google Earth will tell you, are you right next to a cemetery? Are you right next to, I don't know, a prison? That's not really a thing, but if you want to Google Earth it just so you're educated and you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting the seller's time, and you're just doing your part just to make sure that you're buying in a great neighborhood. You're not only just buying the house, you're buying your neighbors, you're buying the neighborhood, you're buying the gas station, you're buying the community grocery store down the corner. These are your people. These are who you're going to be getting gas with, who you're picking fresh produce with, who you're getting SpaghettiOs in the SpaghettiOs aisle with. Make sure that you're Google searching and you're seeing and you're liking what you see. All right. The advanced search starts to happen. So as a real estate professional, I have the tools and the systems, aka the MLS, which can hyper focus and filter out all the properties you're not looking for. That's why I said earlier that maybe we kind of want to zoom out and maybe not get too specific. Like we want to see how specific we can get. But if we hit 0, we got to zoom out a little bit. We got to take some of that criteria off, but we start to look at everything that you want, every little thing that you want about your dream house to see if it's out there. And I'm telling you what, more times than not, we find people's dream homes. So whenever we find the ones, we'll schedule the showings. You will have a day where we go see properties. So that way it's organized, it's planned. If you work until 5 p.m. every day, we'll either have Wednesdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. or we'll have Saturdays at 4 p.m. We will have a set schedule for you so I'm going to go see properties with Scott on this particular day at this particular time. We'll never schedule more than 4 showings at a time because there's a psychological study that says that you start to forget and properties start to run together after about 4 to 5 properties. So you don't want that happening. We understand that. And typically a showing takes about an hour. So you don't want to spend 5 hours looking at houses. It starts to dull it down. It's not fun, unless it is fun. Anyway, so we'll start attending those showings. You'll let me know what you like and what you dislike. I'm going to ask you so many questions. I'm going to ask you every single time, what do you like? What do you dislike? Because I'm going to have to leave feedback because we respect the sellers. Thank you for letting us inside the house. This is why it would work. This is why it wouldn't work. And then at the very end of every single showing, I'm going to say, hey, what's it going to take for you to make an offer on this property right now? How realistic are you? Are you ready to put an offer in today? I'm not rushing. I'm not applying any pressure, but I'm making sure I'm asking you the right questions to get you what you want. I have found through asking these questions, we can completely cancel properties just like that property, or we can not go see 15 properties and put an offer in and you win on one that you like. Because I'm telling you, if you say a house is perfect, but you want to wait on another one just to see if there's a better one out there, you will lose out on that house. Because if you think it's perfect, someone else will too. Okay. And then you'll find out that there's not going to be one as good of it. So I'm always going to make sure I'm going to give you the option to tell me no or yes every step of the way. All right. So once we submit an offer, I will prepare the offer for you. In the which is a low inventory market, it is a seller's market. A seller's market means that there's more buyers than there are sellers. Whenever I'm representing my sellers, we get multiple offers. We just put one under contract in 2 days, another one in 4 days. One of them had $4,000 over asking price. The other one had $7,000, like $800 over asking price. So people are paying more than what the sticker tag shows. So if you like a property, I suggest we quickly go write an offer and we submit it that day. A lot of people say that they want to think about it, but again, you might miss out on that property. And submitting an offer is completely free. It doesn't cost you anything to submit an offer. If they accept, you have 72 hours to submit your earnest money deposit. So, and then we'll discuss due diligence, but when they accept, you go into due diligence. And that's like, let's see, that's step number 9, but let's get it. So there's negotiations and the actual contract after you make an offer. It may take a few tries to get it right. So that's what so if somebody has a $250,000 property, you submit an offer for 240, the seller is going to say, sellers can reject, they can counter, or they can accept. Now, a majority of the time, if you're not going to give them their sticker price, like if they have 250, you offer a lower price in a low inventory market, they probably have other offers. They're just going to go ahead and not just reject it and maybe not even tell you that they're rejecting it. They'll blow you off. Okay. So they can blow you off, they can reject you, or let's just say it's not a seller's market. They might counter it. If I'm their seller's agent, instead of rejecting it, I'm always going to tell them to counter it because we want to keep the deal going. So they may counter the offer. So you give them a 240 offer, they say, hey, what about 249,999? So you might have to play a little back and forth. Eventually the seller is going to get tired of going back and forth though, and then they will just reject you and not do business with you. Okay. So it's typically, they'll send you a counter and you need to either accept it or send your best, because even after all that, everybody starts to kind of lose interest in it. All right, so, and that's just giving you a suggestion. I'll do whatever you want to do, but I'm just letting you know. Now, the contract provides you with a timeline to obtain financing and time to inspect the state of the home. Okay, that's the due diligence process. Within this due diligence process, a buyer such as yourself can back out for whatever reason that they want. They can wake up one day, have a bad dream, just decide this isn't the house for them. It costs you nothing to make an offer, and you can just back out. Okay, so this is what I was saying whenever I mentioned, if in a low inventory offer market, you have to act quickly. So you have the due diligence to think about it and pray about it. So you submit the offer. Since you like the property, they accept the offer. And then you have due diligence. You're like, was this a great idea or not? You can have buyer's remorse after you win the property. It costs you nothing to submit an offer. You can back out the very next day after they accept if you don't like it. I do not suggest doing that every time, because that does get tiring, but you have the opportunity to do that. So let's see, the contract provides you with a timeline. So the contract has an expiration date, timeline of whenever the financing gets done. A closing date is also added in there. Typically, your lender needs about 30 to 45 days. In a seller's market, they're not going to want to see 45 days. Okay, so that's too long, but that's kind of like the spiel, 30 to 45 days. The sooner a lender can close, because it's all about the lender. The quality of lender that you work with is almost the quality of the offer that gets accepted. If you have a lender that no one's ever heard of, just because it's like a family friend, or an out-of-state lender is even worse. Sellers will look at that, like sellers agents will look at it. That'll be the very first thing that they tell their client. I don't know who this lender is. The lenders are the backbone of the actual deal. You only are as good as the people that are giving you money. Okay. So if you don't have anybody with a good track record, you don't have anybody that can close on time, then that your offer might not get accepted. So you always want to think like that too. So if you can get a lender who has proven results to close in like 12 or 15 to 30 days, that'd be fantastic. Looks good too. All right. So once you are under contract or in escrow, if you will, you and the sellers have agreed to prices and terms. And again, those terms that you're going to be writing an offer on are going to be basically your offer price, your closing costs, how many days of due diligence. So due diligence is the time where you get the property inspected, of course, and the closing date, and then expiration of the offer. So you don't want your offer just floating out there all willy-nilly, so you give the seller a timeline to accept it. All right. And then the final details. So you perform the due diligence. That means you have the property inspected, as we've been talking about. The appraisal is then ordered. Okay. So the bank makes sure that it's worth what we're saying that it's worth. Conduct the inspections and review the terms with the lender. So your lender is always going to be asking you for stuff throughout the entire process. If your lender isn't asking you for paperwork every single week, meaning like, hey, I need your pay stubs, hey, I need your bank statements, they're not on top of it. If they're not annoying you with what they have to give you, I bought properties just so I can while I've been a real estate agent, I've purchased properties just so I can understand what today's buyer goes through. And it's annoying. And I know that it's happening, even being a real estate agent. And they're just like, Scott, I need your bank statement. Scott, I need your this week's proof of income. Basically your, what's it called? Your pay stubs. All right. So preparing for closing. So after the inspection process, after the appraisal process, your lender starts to finalize the loan. They're sending it to the underwriter. They're reviewing the documents. It says discuss the inspection, but we'll already be discussing the inspection before this. So we're on top of that. So, and we attend a pre-close and walkthrough. That's typically a day or two before the closing, sometimes the day of the closing. But what we do is we go look at the property and make sure it's in the same condition as it was during the inspection. Because sometimes people like to throw moving out parties. Not all the times. Actually, not any time that I've ever seen. But that's kind of like the worry. That's why we do it. Is the property in a good, safe, livable condition, the same condition that we saw whenever we wanted to buy it? And then step number 13, boom, it's closing day. Your lender transfers the funds. You want to make sure you have wiring instructions from your closing attorney. And you want to make sure that the wire is that your funds are being wired within like 4 to 5 hours before the actual closing. Also, we don't want to have closing on a Monday or a Friday. All right. No closings on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays because nobody remembers how to do their job. That's just like the case of the Mondays. And then Friday because if there's an issue with the wire, with your lender getting the money, if there's some type of holdup on Friday, the next business day is Monday. You know what? Like the seller's already made plans. You've already made move-in plans. People don't want to wait 3 days in order to do it. So we want to preemptively maintain and manage situations by making sure that we don't worry with everybody's not good at their job on Mondays and then something might pop up on Fridays. So let's go ahead and always think close it on a Thursday, and that way you're moved in by Friday, and then you're having dinner on Saturday with all your friends. All right. So transfer the funds and the ownership take place at the closing facilities, facilitated by the title company or the closing attorney. So the closing attorney is basically a neutral party. They don't have they're not on any side, any dogs in the fight. They're basically FedEx. They're basically UPS. They don't care where the packages go. Just pay them their fees. Okay. I always make a joke that the closing attorney with the best um, waiting area with the best chocolates, the best coffee station is usually the best closing attorney, because most of them do the exact same thing. I'm sure there's some that are a little bit better than others, but yeah, they're all great. All right, 6 reasons to own a home. Now let's talk about some benefits of owning a home. Number one, my favorite is the appreciation that comes with it. There's no better investment than in real estate. I'm telling you what, invest in yourself. Number one, invest in God also, and then invest in real estate. And that's what you're doing right now. The appreciation that comes with the house is greater than any other option that you can get, because over time, real estate doesn't lose value. It might dip a couple of weeks every year, but then it grows up a little bit more. It's like gas prices. You know what I mean? Gas prices have gone from 99 cents from whenever I didn't have a car to now it's like 3.50. Yeah, at one point in time it was $5. That was great, having to pay $5 for gas. And then sometimes they dip to about 1.99, but guess what? They're 3.25 right now. So if you look at the curve of like home appreciation, the prices of homes always go up. So if you plan on living in your house for longer than 2 years, you will have appreciation on your house. So your money, if you're buying a $200,000 house, you will have a $250,000 house in probably the next 5 to 10 years. Okay. That's 50 grand just for living in the house. And then guess what? The next one, my next favorite, it's equity. Like, it's crazy how both of these are money, but equity is like renting is often compared to paying 100% of interest rates, but you own a home and a mortgage is in place. A portion of your payment goes toward the principal balance, and the principal balance is basically what, like the price tag that you paid on the house. All right. So the equity. So let's just say you have a down payment of $10,000. You're buying a $200,000 house. You're taking out a loan for $190 because you're putting up $1,000. Your house automatically has that down payment as equity. So you automatically have $10,000 of equity in that house. Now, year over year, you can typically anticipate about it's gone up so much in the past few years. Last year in 2022, it got 6% of appreciation. So that's 6 grand if it's $100,000 house, 12 grand if it's a $200,000 house. So if you would have bought a $200,000 house last year in 2021, and then by 2022, the end of 2022, it would be a $212,000. You would have $12,000 just for living in your house. That's a perk. By the time you sell your house, you'll make tens of thousands of dollars if you sell it within 5 to 7 years. You know what I mean? If you keep it for 30 years, you pay off your loan, the house will probably be worth like $400,000. But we know that the average homeowner lives in their house 5 to 7 years before they sell it. You also have tax benefits of saving it once you purchase. I'll update you on that. You get roots. Welcome to the American dream. Home ownership is one of the greatest things that you can have. We know for a fact that the higher ups in this world, the people with all the money, the hedge funds people, there was $110 billion fund started to purchase homes to get them off the market and rent them out. So they're taking houses, options from you of ownership. They're taking them like off the deck completely. Once those houses are purchased by these big companies and they're rented out, they never will come back to market, which will make appreciation over here higher. So in 2023, $110 billion are put aside to purchase homes. So So anyway, you're starting your own roots. You have something to give down to your family members. If you plan to have kids, there you go. There's a house you can move out. You can sell it if you don't keep it. I personally keep all the real estate. My goal after you purchase this house is to educate you on how to keep your house and then also purchase your next home. People own homes and purchase other homes. Like, that's a very common thing. It's just the education. Hello. It's just the education that people lack. And I'm going to be here to make sure that you know all your options. You can sell your house and get $60,000, or you can refinance your house and get $50,000. One of them, you get to keep a house. You get two houses. Another one, you get 10 extra $1,000. Momentarily, that $10,000 is greater, but over time, you build a real estate portfolio that you can, in fact, give down to other people or make money off of, like I do through real estate investing. Also, happiness. The home ownership is feeling of home ownership is unmatched. You get to own something bigger than like I don't know, like a car, the next, like a house is come to my house. Everybody's coming to my house. My family comes to my house on Sundays. We're in Louisiana. So whenever we first came from North Atlanta, we moved into one of our rental properties that we had rented out here. And we had a pool here. Everybody came and did crawfish bowls. Like, everybody was cooking, and it just was something that it's just a very exciting. We ate, like, the kids were playing around, jumping in the pool. We had the sprinklers going. You had barbecue, shrimp going, crawfish. It's just a time. And I'm getting emotional just thinking about how great it is. That is one. It's your own thing. You have a mortgage on it, yes, but whenever that mortgage is paid off, that is yours. All right, moving on. Why work with me? Okay, this is my family right here. This is my wife, Jamie, the love of my life. Even though we moved to North Atlanta for a while, we've always been diehard Saints fans. Even now that they don't have a great record, we are still Saints fans. This is at a losing season right here. This is post Drew Brees era. We're still having smiles on our face. With my son, Banks, right here. This is also Banks right here. This is Jamie. This is us. I did this makeup right here. There you go. There's my two dogs, Sir and Ma'am. Sir right here. He's part of a video. He's famous right now. I also do a podcast. So husband, father, realtor, podcaster, house flipper. I do it all. All right. And so husband, Jamie's not just my business partner, not just my life partner, but she's my business partner. We go do deals together. We have investment properties. We have rentals. We did a house flip together. Also, I have a podcast with Scott right here, a few other people, but Scott and I did a house flip recently. We did very well on it. And this podcast right here, it's called Penitentiaries to Penthouse. It's how about people that got incarcerated, formerly incarcerated people, how they got out of jail and they turned their lives around. Most of them are like working for the state in like a political fashion, working for the mayor, right-hand man of super higher ups. You have a couple of gentlemen hanging out with LeBron James. You have people doing really big in the I guess like kind of like prison reform world. We have some chefs on the show, a lot of great stories, a lot of laughs. Also, I have a YouTube channel called Living in Baton Rouge, where I highlight certain areas in Baton Rouge. This is posted on that channel. If you're there, thank you for coming in. But I can help you buy or sell your house. I am trained in North Atlanta in a highly competitive market. There's 80,000 agents compared to Baton Rouge's 2,000 agents. All right. So I know what it is to have to work for your clients. I know what it is to have to earn your business, earn your trust. And I know what it is to have to be there whenever you need me. Okay. If you want to know everything about eating, sleeping, working, and playing, the good and the bad of living in Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas, and please reach out to me anytime and I can give you a current market update of the area. We get calls and emails every single day from people just like you. And look, we're absolutely loving it. You're moving into the area, you're moving out of the area. We're helping relocation clients. we're helping first-time home buyers and relocation people. Love helping them because they're almost kind of the same. It's like, what do I do? Where do I go? It's like, come with me, let's go. But whether you're 9 days or 90 days away from making that decision, just give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, send me a smoke signal, and we can help make a smooth move in the area. That's, again, buying or selling. I am a one-stop shop. If you want to invest in real estate as well, I'm here for it. Here's my phone number. Here's my email address. Here is a link to where you can schedule a consultation if you're a relocation client. It's a Calendly link. It sends straight to my email. I will respond within minutes. We'll book it. It says 30 minutes, but we can go as long as you need. If you're relocating, I absolutely can do video tours and all that good stuff too. So relocations, first-time home buyers, VA, upsizing, downsizing, investors. I specialize in all of it. Done it all. All right, so this is basically your file. Whenever we're in the middle of the deal, whenever we're talking about the home buying process, I'll say, hey, I need this record for your file. I need the deposit check for your file. I need the proof of insurance for your file. Where's that at? Pre-approval, proof of insurance, proof of funds letter. All right, so this is one required form that my broker has to get. And this is basically the customer information form. So let's see. All right, so this says customer information form. This basically goes over the relationship. So the relationship in which a real estate broker or licensee represents a client by the client's consent. It's giving me permission to work with you. It's letting you know the different types of agencies. We will be an agency. So designated agency means that the relationship that shall be presumed to exist when a licensee, me, engage in any real estate transaction with you. Okay. I just need, and here, look here. Let's see. Dual agency simply means if you happen to like a house where it's my seller, like I represent the seller as well. That's called dual agency. I want to let you know. So that's specific duties for both the seller and the actual buyer. So treat all clients honestly, provide factual information about the properties, to disclose all latent material defects. So just defects on the property, to help the buyer compare financing options, to provide information about comparable properties, to disclose financial qualifications, all right, and to help explain real estate terms. I'm here to do everything to help buyers arrange for property inspections, of course, and explain closing costs. We went over everything that I do for you. This is basically a signed consent saying, like, I've seen it, Scott's told me, and we just need your signature on it just to say that it doesn't hold you to anything. It's just saying, like, hey, Scott's made these things aware, and if there's anything that I miss, it's on this page. This is everything that the state of Louisiana wants you to see. All right. So looking at that, now let's drop out of here. Boom. Now this is going to be what the offer looks like. Okay. So every single contract is going to be about 15 pages long. But let's see, no, that's too much. It's going to be about 15 pages long. This goes over the agent, so it'll be side A and side B. Electronic notice saying, hey, we're going to do everything. You're going to be required to initial. So at the bottom of each page. So this is where on this page number 2 is where we discuss the property. This is the legal description, the address. This is the property we're buying. Mineral rights, basically. Most of the time it's the seller agrees to give you any mineral rights that are underneath the land. If there's any oil underneath there, they're going to go ahead and sign it over to you. Line number 42, we discuss how much your offer is going to be so they can fill that in. The act of the sale, meaning the closing date. Again, we want to get with your lender just to see a time that they can actually close. We want to see 30 days or under in this market. We want to see 20 days or under, realistically. All right, but we do whatever the lender can do because they're the money people and they hold all the money. So let's see, what else are we looking at? Contingency for the sale of the property. So this home is contingent on the sale of another house. Yes or no? Do you have to sell a house in order to buy this house? Do you need the money from selling a house to purchase this house? No first-time home buyer will ever do it because this is the first home that they're buying, but a lot of real estate transactions happen where the seller is buying another home and then the buyer is selling a home to buy a home. So it's like a chain link. This is just making everybody aware. And it's contingent. So if that property doesn't sell, then you don't have to buy the property. That's basically what this is checking off. So let's see. Financing, you got all cash? Are you getting it financed? What are the terms? What type of loan product do you have? These are all the loan products you want to get with your lender just to make sure you know which one it is. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be an FHA loan. Nope, never mind. You're going to either be conventional or FHA loan 9 times out of 10. If you're a vet, make sure you talk to the lender about getting a VA loan because they hook up vets. A rural development is if you're moving to a place like Livingston Parish, Denham Springs. They have like 0 down options, certain places. And then you can just talk to your lender about all the other options. Those are the main hitters. Let's see some other. Is the property going to get an appraisal? If you're getting the property financed with the lender, it's going to be yes. If you're paying in cash, it could be either or. If you're paying in cash, you pay for the appraisal. So, and you're paying for the house. So do you want to know how much the property's worth? So I would say majority of the time cash buyers don't get appraisals, but you must get an appraisal whenever you have a loan. That is a for sure thing. So make sure you have that $550 to pay for the appraisal because the lender's going to order it on you $1. So the deposit, aka the earnest money, due within 72 hours. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need a check, a photo of a check made out to the brokerage that I'm working at the time. As of the moment of this video, it's going to be Keller Williams Realty, Premier Partners, or the closing attorney, which I'd prefer you to make it out to the closing attorney that we use so that can just be sent to them. But this is where we discuss the terms. Remember, we want to put 1% as your deposit or earnest money, but it can be whatever your heart desires. The stronger your earnest money, the closer to 1% of earnest money you put down, the closer to your offer getting accepted. The lower that money is, the less motivated you look and the less serious you look because if you're putting $500 down, a lot of people will lose $500 and not care about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, who cares? But if it's $2,000, people don't want to walk away from that. All right. So that's what the seller's going to probably counter back with if you don't put any deposit down. I know if I'm representing the seller, I'm saying something to my seller. We're countering back. This is not a serious buyer. Let's make them serious because if there's no repercussions for you backing out, the likelihood of you backing out is very high. Not saying you personally will do it, but from experience of being in real estate for multiple years, that's what happens. All right. I've been burned a few times. So that's and so I know the insides of the seller's game, and I'm going to give you that information for free to let you know you want to win a house, you put out a good deposit, and that money goes towards your closing costs. So like you're not losing money at all. You're basically paying it a little bit early, and it's going to the total price of your property. Tells you if you want check, cash. We're not going to do cash, so I'm not going to hold cash. It's only going to be check or it's going to be a wire transfer. All right, and the deposit is if it's held by a third party, meaning the closing attorney. This is where everybody agrees to it right there. Let's see. New construction home. If it's new construction, you check yes. If not, no. So due diligence period is right here. We're just letting the seller know how long we're going to need to look at the property. So typically 7 to 10 days, depending on when you submit the offer. You submit the offer on a Thursday or Friday, it's 10 days. You submit the offer on a Monday, 7 days. Everybody in this business operates Monday through Friday for the most part. Everybody takes the days off. As your real estate agent, I will never be off. I work 7 days a week for the most part. Actually, not Sundays. I'm working to where I'm not working on Sundays. I'll reply to text and email on Sundays, but I'm spending time with my family on Sundays. But for the most part, most of the people in this transaction are off Friday, 4 p.m. Okay, so 7 to 10 days is what we're gonna put in due diligence. And look, you read all this information whenever we get it over. I'm just giving you kind of like a once over glance. Let's see. All right, private water sewage, what is it on? Is it on septic tank or no? Home warranty information, is it as is? Are there warranties coming with the property? What are some other important ones? All this is important. Flood hazard information can be found at these websites. Offender notifications can be found at this website. If you're worried about mold, you can find information at this website. Sign here. All right, here are some additional clauses and addenda that we need to add to the contract. You probably won't need this. We'll probably add a termite inspection addendum here. All right, let's see what else. Expiration of this offer. Just because we have to put an end date on it, we can't have any open agreements in Louisiana. So typically we want to give them about 12 hours to respond, unless we're submitting it at 5 p.m. So if it's at 5 p.m., we give them 24 hours to respond. But if we write the offer before noon, we only have, like, if we're writing the offer around noon and we're submitting at 5 p.m. that day. But anything after noon, the next day. All right, let's see what else. What other information? All right, so there is a property condition. So each seller should, I believe in Louisiana, they have to have it, but this is a disclosure that talks, like, to the best of the seller's knowledge. This is everything that's staying with the property. This is the age of the property. Did the house flood? How old is the house? How old is the HVAC? How old is this? When was this repaired? This is basically the cliff notes, the highlight reel, everything about the property before you go see the property. So before we go see a property, you send me a text and you say, hey, Scott, send me the seller's disclosure if they have it. And I want you to review this. And you basically start on this page number 4. This is where it talks about how long the seller has been there. Have they been there for 30 years? Oh, a long time owner. Have they been there for 1 year? Why are they only there for 1 year and they're deciding to move out? Are they relocating, or do they hate their neighbors? We're not judging. We just need to know. They're not going to tell us, some of that's not our business, but we can kind of gauge the situation off of that. Just look for signs like that. Size of the property, how old it was, any engineer, any servitudes on it. Has there been any termite damage? Is there a company taking care of the termites? Structurally, how old is the house? How old is the shed on the house? How old is the roof? Now, if the roof is older than 7 years, we're going to try to see if the seller can use their insurance to replace a roof for them. Might not work, but it's something that we try to have a direct connection with Giat Roofing. We'll write that into the contract, and we'll make sure that our relationship with Giat Roofing is very transparent. But we can get you a brand new roof. I've done it for 2 other buyers. We did it for a couple of my sellers too. So, it's insurance will completely pay for a roof replacement at the cost of the seller. It's only their deductible, which is very low compared to the price of having a roof replacement. And that That's probably the biggest thing. So if we see a roof older than 7 years old, we're gonna go ask if we can go check that roof out. We're gonna ask them who their insurance company is. We're gonna see if we can negotiate you a brand new roof, baby. There's not a lot of opportunities for us to get you a new roof right off the jump, and this is one of them. And I'd say take full advantage of it. Now, here's some other check marks. Are there any defects in anything? To the best of the seller's knowledge, they're not trying to hide anything from you. Some people aren't. Most people aren't. Yeah, but this is them saying to the best of their knowledge. Yeah, they don't get on roofs. They don't know what roofs is. They might say that there's no defects, and then if we see that it's over 7 years old, we know that hurricanes and windstorms happen in Louisiana all the time, baby. So they might not know because they don't know what they're looking for. There might not be any visible evidence. Same thing with basements, same thing with foundation. You know, like they don't really know. That's why you have inspections during the due diligence process. So never be too worried about this form, whether the lack of the over information on it, because you have to have an inspection anyway. If the house is perfect for you, we put an offer in, we get it inspected regardless. So they'll let you know. The inspector is paid to tell you the truth. They're not on your side though. So like they're proud to do their job. So they are going to give you a 30-page report on everything. Chipped paint, foundation issues from top to bottom, the roof, they'll let you know too. Okay, let's see. Has there ever been foundation repair? This is the kind of stuff, plumbing and water, gas, sewage stuff. Give you information on that. How old the hot water heater is, electrical heating. This is a full out checklist of everything about the property. Is there flood insurance? Do you need flood insurance? How much is the flood insurance? You want to check and see. That's it right here. You can check the flood zone map if they don't know the information, so we can find out. But we want to know if the property flooded. I had a home seller the other day tell me his house never flooded. And I said, well, what happened in 2018? He goes, it's a once in a lifetime hook on water. I loved it. Great response. State says that it flooded though, so it's in the flood zone. We're still actually sold it in under a week, which is fantastic, but I just like that response. Let's see. So, and then that's that. So that covers basically the contractual parts. We might have a few other documents. We'll also need your proof of funds to submit with an offer. Absolutely have to have that before we start looking, but we want an updated one to submit with the offer just in case rates dropped. You know, if rates didn't drop, we just going to use the older one, but we submit these documents. We submit the earnest money check photo, and then it needs to be mailed in before the 72-hour deadline is up. And then any other contract, any other document that we have to go over, we can just go over it at a separate time.
All right, that's that. Thank you so much for watching the first time home buyer seminar video. It's going to be the first one. We're going to keep it updated spontaneously, keep you guessing, but we're going to keep it updated to match today's market, or the market of the day, if you will. One more time, I'm Scott Beatty. I know that everybody on this planet has friends in real estate, but I want to be your best friend in real estate. If you're 9 days or if you're 90 days away from making a decision to purchase, sell, or invest in real estate, I want to be the go-to real estate agent. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a long watch. I hope you did it in multiple sessions. Have a great day.